Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for another episode of Reliving the Lights, a Friday Night Lights rewatch podcast. My name is Josh Kuipers.
Hey, I'm Anthony Hookman.
And we are your hosts as we continue our dive into maybe the best season of Friday Night Lights, season 3. I gotta say already, first 2 episodes have not disappointed.
No, gotta agree 100%. I don't know if I maybe just overdid it on details or if just a lot happened in this episode, but I was like furiously scribbling for pretty much the entire episode and had to pause. Angie has been luckily very patient. She understands that this podcast hobby goes a little bit beyond just sitting down and watching an episode. So yeah, she's been very patient with me, just being like, "Oh, hold on, sorry, yep. I gotta rewind, gotta pause for a little while. I gotta write a paragraph."
I do think it was this episode, especially because I usually will kind of start watching the episode when my kids are in the bath. I'll just sit in there, put the episode on, start typing away. But it was too distracting this time. Like I was trying to get too much stuff down, and the kids, you got to kind of pay attention to them, and I couldn't do it. So I had just put it off until I could get on my own so I could take the proper notes for everything. So we do got a good one coming up. We'll get to that in just a minute, but Anthony, I got to say, the mustache, the hair, you got a real Wayne Grow thing going these days.
A real what?
Wayne Grow. It's okay. What's the phenomenon we were talking about today? The
baader-meinhoff.
Yeah, baader-meinhoff. So
I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It might be bod or it's double A, but either way, yeah.
It can also frequency something. Anyway, where you find out about something for the first time and then you just hear it or see it everywhere. So I always think of it like when you're buying a car and you're looking at a certain type of car, like like a Kia Sentra or something, and you've never noticed them before, and you're like, oh, maybe these Kia Sentra's all right. And I don't see that many of them around. Maybe they're good. And then the next day you see like 10 Kia Sentras when you're driving around. So kind of that phenomenon. Wayne Grow is a character from Heat, the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And he is a dude with long, like kind of blown back hair and like a scruffy beard. And I hear references all the time to you got a real Wayne Grow look going on there. Huh. And which I never, it just, went right over my head until I saw the movie Heat a couple years ago. And then now it's like, oh man, people reference Wayne Grow all the time.
Interesting. I saw Heat in high school and I don't remember anything about it aside from thinking that it was good, but a little bit slow. Yeah. I have been meaning to rewatch it. I actually just watched I started watching Michael Mann's first movie last night, Thief, with James Caan, which so far is pretty good as of the last the first 45 minutes. Yeah. So I was thinking about Heat just last night. Baader-meinhoff, baby.
Nice, there you go.
The look that I'm going for that I accidentally realized once I got down into the mustache, which is a look that I've wanted to pull off for a long time and kind of thought that I never would actually get to because I didn't expect to not get a haircut for 2 years.
Right.
Is going for the Billy Crudup in Almost Famous look.
Oh man, that's a deep reference that I gotta think back to 14-year-old Josh. I'm gonna show you some Wayne Grow here.
Yes. Oh wow. Wayne Grow. Okay. Yeah, I got kind of a Wayne Grow
a little
going
bit
on.
Well, I approve. I'll also say, I don't know if it's just because you trimmed the beard down, but your face is looking a little slimmer. I feel like I can see the weight coming off.
I hope so.
You're looking good. So, with that, what are you drinking tonight? I assume it's fairly low calorie as usual.
Yeah, so I do have the Lafroig going again. I was just, before we sat down to record, or before I got to the computer to record, I was working on a puzzle. I threw on a little Mavis Staples on the turntable and was working on a puzzle and poured myself a glass of whiskey. And This is just kind of a continuation of that, but I do have as backup, I've got my vodka water Mios that'll follow this up once I finish the glass of whiskey. So
that's man, I respect that just whole vibe you had going on there. Mavis Staples, a glass of whiskey and a puzzle. That's a 30 some year old life you're living right there.
You're not wrong. Yeah.
I like it.
What do you got over there?
Yeah. Meanwhile, over here, the important thing with this is once again, drink out of my Gus's World Famous Fried Chicken Cup. It is just a little rum, a little light margarita mix, and a little sugar-free Sprite or 7-Up. So nothing fancy. Tastes good. I like drinking out of my Memphis cups. So, all right. That's what we're drinking. We've discussed Anthony's bro flow. So let's move on to our episode this week. We should just get right into it since we both have copious notes.
Yes.
This is episode 2 of season 3. It is entitled Tami Knows Best. Debatable. We'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll see.
But this aired October 8th of 2008. It looks like we have some Movie Dude 1 action here.
We certainly do. When Coach Taylor realizes that it's not Smash's knee that's holding it back, he comes up with a rather unique way of laying it all on the line. The doctor lays it all on the line for Matt, who legally can't take care of his grandmother anymore, while Buddy goes out of his way, laying it on the line for Tami over the Jumbotron issue and laying it on the line with Tim, who's now dating his daughter. Meanwhile, Tyra realizes that it's easier to lay it all on the line by taking shortcuts in winning the student body presidency.
I gotta say, there's not a whole lot to actually pick apart here as far as like errors. I mean, we got some run-on sentences, but it's not egregious.
Yeah, the second sentence is egregious, I think.
You're right.
Here's the second sentence, and I'll read it with commas.
Yes.
The doctor lays it all on the line for Matt, comma, who, comma, legally, comma, can't take care of grandmother, comma, anymore, comma, while Buddy goes out of his way, comma, laying it on the line for Tami over the Jumbotron issue, comma, and laying it on the line with Tim, comma, who's now dating his daughter. That is one sentence.
Yeah, I stand corrected. That's pretty egregious. You counting commas there.
I count at least 7 commas in that one sentence. That's pretty bad.
That's impressive and wild. And I'm pretty liberal with my commas, but it's a little much. It doesn't. Can't
throw in a dash or something. Anyway. Movie Dude 1.
Yeah.
Maybe a semicolon.
I don't know if Movie Dude 1 can handle the semicolon. Nobody actually knows how to use them anyway. We've established this.
Yes.
I will, but like his parallels, they're not too forced. They kind of work.
Yeah, I think he's got a good foundation going every week, but it falls apart when he actually tries to build upon that.
Yeah. All right. So to give it a rating, I'm feeling pretty generous with this. The commas probably lose 1 to 2 points. It'd probably be a 7. I'm going to give it a 6.
Wow. I was thinking like 4.
All right. I mean, I think my reasoning is the parallels are good. It's not too forced because it works. There's only one run-on sentence and 2 pretty good sentences. So, yeah, I'm feeling positive. If I'm a 6, you're a 4. I say we meet in the middle at a 5, and just
we can do that.
Say this was fine. This was fine.
I'll allow it,
Dude 1.
I'll allow it.
All right. This episode starts off. Tim and Lila messing around a little bit.
Yeah, fooling around in bed, but they are quickly interrupted by Billy, who has discovered that Tim received a letter of interest from the University of Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
They've taken a liking apparently to Tim and I guess want to see what he's all about. Tim has not mentioned this to Billy. He has also not mentioned this to Lila. Lila is also pretty excited about this, but Tim is seeming pretty, I would say, ambivalent at best.
Yeah. Tim really, this doesn't really matter much to him. I don't think he's really considering it as a serious option, but Lila immediately stops what she's doing with Tim. Well, because Billy walked in, but then is completely done with that and goes to get her laptop excitedly because she's going to start working on this. Billy is also pretty pumped. And yeah, like you said, Tim's just kind of, oh, whatever. Okay. Next, we see Tami is meeting with a reporter to talk about the reallocation of the Jumbotron funds. The reporter asked something about like, does this make it awkward or whatever with your husband, the football coach? And Tami very assuredly, I think I kind of didn't quite know what the look on her face was, but I think very assuredly said like, no, our marriage is built on a foundation of mutual trust and respect and all that. So
yeah,
I think she feels pretty confident about what she's saying.
I think she said it pretty confidently as well. I think, it was, we say it was October of 2008 that this episode aired.
Yep.
It was the era of Sarah Palin and gotcha questions. And I think that's what the journalist was maybe trying to pull.
Would you describe Tami as a pit bull with lipstick or whatever?
Absolutely not.
Said she was. Okay, good. Yep. But Tami seems pretty happy with the interview at this point. Graham Saracen is at the doctor with Matt, and they're taking her blood pressure. It's not looking good. Doctor says that she's kind of in the danger zone.
Yeah, blood pressure is very high. We find out that Grandma Saracen isn't taking her meds because it makes her skin dry out.
Mm-hmm. And the doctor, I felt like was, at least in that moment, I felt like he was like kind of chewing Matt out. Like, bro, you got to get her pills. Come on, what you doing? Which seems a little much for a 17-year-old kid. But he pulls Matt out into the hall because it's very apparent that Grandma is not interested in taking those pills whatsoever. She says as much, like, I'm not going to get this refill, not going to do it. Mm-hmm. And the doctor lays it on the line for Matt. And yeah, basically says, like, I can't give these to you because you're a minor and not her guardian or whatever. So you got to figure out a way to make this happen, or Grandma's getting up there, doesn't seem to be able to take care of herself. Basically hints at you might need to think about putting her in a home or something.
Yeah, so basically gives Matt all of his options. Matt is trying to find any other way to handle this, but the doctor makes it pretty clear that basically his options are, become an emancipated minor and become her legal guardian. Oh, does the lawyer?
Yeah, that's the lawyer a little later.
Okay, I thought the doctor had told him that, and then he went to the lawyer to find out how to do it. But maybe
not.
I'm not sure. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Either way, finds out that basically things are not great with Grandma Saracen.
No. We see Tami. She's staying up late, looking for the midnight drop of the newspaper article. Coach is up there with her, and the article is posted, and they check it out. And basically the headline is all about how tensions are high in the marriage of Coach Taylor and Principal Tami Taylor. And Tammy's pretty aghast.
Yeah. She kind of closes the laptop in horror
After which Coach promptly offers to go get more wine.
Yes.
So good job, Coach. Being a good husband there. We see Smash working out with Coach again, and he's not really performing up to Coach's liking. He's slow and not hitting stuff like he should.
Yeah, Coach kind of notices that he is, his form has changed, but he seems to be a little bit hesitant while, performing these jukes and jives and whatever else.
Yeah, he's not right. Smash brings up like the fact that he's worried about Coach's, like, what's your plan here, Coach? What's the big picture?
Yeah, and Smash kind of admits, right, that he's concerned that about getting injured again, and that he's not ready to, even though he probably can go 100%, he's not ready to give 100% because that's what got him hurt last time.
Sure. Yep.
And then we do get a short little post scene to that scene of Coach making those calls and trying to get follow-ups with some of the regional universities.
Yeah, and it's not going well. It's apparent because he's basically begging the guy on the phone.
Yeah.
Come on,
leaving voicemails. Yeah.
Yep. Mac McGill comes in, says something about, well, maybe the timing's just not good for a walk-on, but you can tell Coach is a little worried here. Tami gets to work the next morning after the article comes out, and the phones are ringing off the hook, and friggin' VP Trucks is a mess.
Yeah.
And so Tami kind of skirts past him, and, well, Trucks says it's, about the article or whatever. Tami kind of skirts past him, goes into her office, and Buddy and Mayor Rodell are just hanging out like a couple of mobsters.
Yeah, just waiting.
Mm-hmm.
Mayor Rodell kind of plays good cop and says, "Oh, I think you should maybe issue a public statement saying that you made a mistake." Yeah. Et cetera, et cetera. And Tami refuses. And then Mayor Rodell goes bad cop.
Yeah, she turns the corner hard and gets very aggressive and, kind of makes one of the mob-like threats of, I'd hate if things got ugly around here. But yeah, it's very obvious that Tami is not in her good graces or pretty much anyone in the town's good graces.
I also have to note that during this scene, Buddy is loving it.
He's just kind of hanging out in the background.
They cut to him at one point when Mayor Rodell says something pretty aggressive, and Buddy does he does that Antonio Banderas gif where he does like a whoo, whoo, where he leans back in his chair and puts his head up to the sky and just gives like a
I don't know how I missed that, but that sounds awesome.
Yeah, he is just like he's loving it.
I wrote down here that, and I'm sure we'll get into it more, but man, Tami is being very idealist and pretty dang naive at this point.
Yeah.
And Coach kind of says this later, but it's kind of like, what did you expect to happen? Did you really think this was a good idea?
Yeah, Buddy caught you
like this.
Buddy cut you a check for what we have to assume was several $1 million.
Right.
And you just decided to just not only use it on education, which obviously some of that money should be used for, at least some of it, but to not even be oh, what if we maybe cut that Jumbotron in half?
Right.
Didn't even, I don't know what you're going to do with that kind of money, the implied amount of money with just the education, but.
Well, and I mean, Buddy made it clear that this money was given by people specifically for a jumbotron.
Yeah.
Like, this is how fundraising works. And if people give money thinking that it's going towards a jumbotron, presumably large sums of money, and it instead goes to buying chalk for the school. That's a lot of chalk. What was she choosing between chalk and his last episode?
I don't remember
when she was doing the budget.
Yeah.
Anyway, people are going to be pissed. And sure enough, people are very pissed. And Mayor Rodell might be the most pissed of all.
Yeah. We then cut to Buddy, Buddy's splurging.
Yeah, he must have been cutting some off the top of the jumbotron funds.
Yeah, he's cooking up some New York strips with Lila, and they're sitting down to dinner. And Buddy lets Lila know that they've been invited to dinner with the McCoy family.
Yeah,
and Lila responds with, "Oh, nice. I'll ask Tim if he wants to join." And Buddy kind of puts Tim Riggins on blast.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't mince words whatsoever. And this is true Buddy form, because we've seen Buddy be very nice and very generous towards Tim. Even after he knew that like Lila and Tim had been a thing.
Yeah.
And then weren't when it comes to the Panthers. But this has nothing to do with the Panthers. So Buddy wants nothing to do with Tim. He makes sure that Lila's using protection, because the last thing they need is for her to get pregnant by Tim Riggins.
Yes.
She's very offended by this.
Yeah. Calls Tim Riggins white trash.
Mm-hmm.
Says that Tim is below her.
Yeah.
Just some real not good comments. Lila storms off after the protection question.
Yeah.
Because didn't he say, like, I would make sure that, if you're sleeping around with this guy, that we don't have a dozen Tim Riggins running around.
He does. All right, I want to go back just slightly to the beginning of this scene, where Buddy says that he's made New York strip pan-fried and buttered the way God intended it. But he sets the plate down in front of Lila and says, "That's about $40 worth of steak right there." So Buddy made $80 worth of steak. Well, he probably has a bigger portion than Lila, so let's just go ahead and round it up to $100.
Yeah.
Buddy spends $100 on steak.
Apparently it must be dry aged and
yeah, no kidding.
Wagyu beef and all that top of the line.
Pristine marbling in there, I guess. But that made me think, what's your, I'm assuming you love a good steak. What's your, maybe if there's a memorable steak that you've had, or, how do you take, what do you like for steak? Is it, the New York strip like Buddy, a nice filet mignon? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, this is going to sound possibly kind of basic, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Oh, yeah.
I used to work at a pretty South Dakota high-end restaurant, and not even I'd call it, I was going to say small town South Dakota high-end, but no, it was South Dakota high-end, in Brookings. And they, on the menu, had what is to this day my favorite steak that I've ever had, a Pittsburgh rare ribeye. Have you ever had a Pittsburgh rare? So what they do is you cook it in a cast iron skillet.
Nice.
It's a ribeye. So it's, not, a really choice cut of beef, but you just put some, salt and pepper, so kind of just your own blackening seasoning. And you get that cast iron just hot, and you sear it on both sides for about 2 minutes a piece. And it's black on the outside, just charred on the outside, and rare on the inside. And it is just to die for. It is for the last at least 4 birthdays that I've had. That's what I'm like, let's go to Kraft and get the Pittsburgh rare, because that's my birthday dinner. So
yeah, nice. I grew up on a beef farm, and my family still raises cattle. So I have ready access to excellent beef at all times. So I consider myself pretty lucky that way. But I would say my favorite mistake. That's a different conversation. Yeah. My favorite steak that I've had that was not Kuiper's Farm beef would be, there's a little place in a neighboring town over in Lamar's, which you and I have had some adventures in Lamar's.
Some memories, yeah, for sure.
But there's a little place, like you have to cross the railroad tracks, in Lamar's to get to it. It's called Archie's Wayside, and you go in, and the decor has not changed since 1978. Mm-hmm. It literally feels like you're walking into a 1978 steakhouse. It's one of those places where it's like they've got two things on the menu. You can order, I don't even know what cut of steak it is. It must be a sirloin because it's just a big, thick hunk of meat. You can get that or like some chicken breast or something.
Sure.
But like, I kid you not, the sirloin is a good 2 inches thick. Yeah. It's like just a nice, like 3 to 4 inch diameter and 2 inch thick. It's just a hunk of meat. It's cooked just in butter and salt and pepper. That's it, but a lot. I think it comes with steak fries or mashed potatoes. You get, they bring out a relish tray, which is something that I wish was still around more, which is a very 70s thing, but it's just like pickles and carrot sticks and celery and, some dips and stuff, some olives, but that comes out right away. But yeah, then you just, after that, you're done with that. You get this big round hunk of meat that is, of course, cooked to perfection. But like there's automatically, like a 45 to an hour and a half minute wait if you want to go, because people love it. So that's probably my favorite steak.
Nice.
But yes, also at the same time, my freezer is always full of ribeye and sirloin and as much beef as I can handle. So
nice. That's yeah.
But Buddy is a man who knows his steaks. If Buddy's willing to spend $100 on it, it must be good. He's not going to waste his money on junk steak. So
yeah. There is sorry, I don't want to get too off topic here, but there is I don't know if you've heard of it. Apparently it's been around for a long time, but Look's Marketplace here in Sioux Falls.
Yes, I've been there once. I didn't know it existed, and then I went there with somebody.
Yeah, we went because the guy who was basically the heir to the throne of George's Pizza, who's like a guy who's my age. His family owns George's Pizza, and he like tried to buy it from them, and they're a very like dramatic family, and they like wouldn't sell it to him. And so he was like, all right, fuck you. I'm moving to Sioux Falls and I'm going to go work at a different pizza place. And so when they opened up their restaurant, he works in the like pizza kitchen. They have super, super good food. We've been there like 4 or 5 times and every meal has been really, really good. But I noticed there you can get like, I don't even know what the descriptor is. You maybe do. Like when I worked in that steakhouse or chop house, whatever the hell they called it, that you could like, I would watch the chefs every now and then, like you get the cut of beef and like you cut the steaks off of it.
Yes.
Like you can buy one of those and like cut your own steaks off of it. And they have, like $300, $400.
Jeez.
And just, like cut your own steaks and they have it, like they have some like dry aging, like right there. You can like look in and see it. And it's pretty wild.
Dang. Yeah. That's awesome. No, it's been a good 5-6 years since I was there, and I don't think they had a restaurant then, at least that I knew of. But
the restaurant's very, very new. Yeah.
It was everything they sold at that market was like high end stuff that you wouldn't see anywhere else
in South Dakota for sure.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty sweet in there. You'll have to come up and we'll go.
Yeah. This isn't the only time that Buddy consumes steak in this episode, so we'll get back to that later. In the meantime, though,
I do have to just mention, I do like that after Lila storms off, Buddy just kind of was like, and just we
Start
get
to
like
steak.
we get the camera lingers on him long enough just to see that he's going back to the meal.
Yeah, $50 steak he's got there. Lila can wait.
Yeah.
Not gonna waste that. All right, so we see Tami talking to Coach about the Mayor Rodell and Buddy situation earlier that day. They're in bed. She's kind of going on about it. Obviously pretty worked up about it. She asked Coach what he thinks about the whole situation. And
yeah. He's visibly unsure what to say. And on cue, saving the day is Gracie.
She's good for something, folks.
Yeah, crying in the next room, and Buddy and Coach immediately takes that cue and says, I got her.
Yeah, he bails. Coach has done an excellent job so far of avoiding even speaking about the situation. Yeah. He just always is kind of listening, which I don't know. I personally feel like I would have said something. At least hey,
probably would have. But
do we maybe want to think this through a little bit together? Because I think it would not only save my wife some trouble, but also our family in general some stress.
This is kind of doesn't come around often, but every now and then you get a little bit of the coward Coach Taylor, yes. And this is definitely an example of that.
Yes, for sure. I don't know, maybe since it's like her first big decision in this new position that he just wants to kind of let her do her thing. But
and on top of that, I think it's been implied in the past, at least I don't know that we've ever seen the full wrath of Tami that Coach maybe doesn't want to deal with by maybe bringing up that reality to her as well.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so Tyra is running for student body president. Julie is helping her out with her campaign. They're going through the halls, kind of, doing the typical high school student body president thing. Vote for Tyra, that kind of thing. And we hear Landry. There's something going on. Landry's in the middle of it. We see that one of Tyra's campaign posters, there's something going on with it. Landry's kind of trying to block it off, doesn't want Tyra to see it.
Yeah, it was a weird, because Landry is against the wall, but he's questioning everybody, who did it? What do you know? And so it was a very strange placement. And I suppose they had to do it the way that they did for the reveal that they did, but it was very odd.
Yeah. I just thought that he was just trying to cover it up so that people can see. But
yeah, that makes sense to it.
So then they do reveal it. Tyra comes over and moves Landry aside. And I mean, yeah, somebody drew devil horns on her and a unibrow and stuff.
Yeah, blacked out one of her teeth, very juvenile stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly what I put. Extremely high school stuff, super lame and not
even high school stuff,
yeah,
elementary school level stuff.
But man, Tyra's pretty upset about it. I mean, there were some references to Tyra's history with men and stuff like that a little bit.
But this wasn't even nobody wrote slut on it or anything. It was very what it reminded me of is there's an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm where Larry we find Larry in 3 different scenes where he's just stuck waiting for somebody, and so he starts drawing a Hitler mustache on people, on magazines, magazine covers. It was that where he was just bored. It's something you do when you're bored.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna say. It's not even something that you do just to people you don't like. It's just, hey, there's a picture of this random person in my history textbook. Yeah. He's got a mustache now, exactly. No big deal. Or when I was in Mr. Hertz class and I would draw in the Entertainment Weeklies on occasion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Not that big of a deal, but it is a big deal in this episode. Landry and Tyra, or maybe not Landry, but Tyra goes to Trucks, Vice Principal Trucks, again, whose sole purpose on the show is just to be a jackwad.
Yeah, like just grumpy, like to bring people down.
Yes.
Like
he like is once again being a dick about the whole thing, and it's like, what do you want me to do about it? Okay, sorry. Like, and then is this where he kind of says something like, what do you expect if you get into the race late? And like, yeah, people aren't going to take you seriously. Like, really? Do you think that's why people wrote on the posters because she got in on the race late?
Nobody cares about that.
All right, next we see Matt. He is meeting with a lawyer to kind of get his options for what to do with Grandma Saracen. And the lawyer's laying out kind of a bunch of options, but Matt really doesn't want to have to do any of it. Like, all of it has to do with Matt, taking responsibility and taking over. And that's not really what Matt's looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do have in my notes that the lawyer suggested becoming Grandma's guardian. So I think this maybe is where that idea was introduced.
Yep.
And he doesn't want that, but the lawyer, just kind of presents and lays out all of Matt's options.
Yeah. He brings up the idea of being an emancipated minor. That's going to require Matt's dad. Can't remember the nickname we had for him, but basically Dickwad Saracen.
Yeah. Was perpetually in Iraq.
Yes, just over there. So that's not going to work.
He's going to be over there until things are made right. So he is still in 2021, still over there. Right.
He has not left. Still working on it. So the lawyer says, well, that basically leaves us with the option of putting her in her home and let the state take care of her. And Matt obviously doesn't like that option either. The lawyer's like, hey, buddy. Hey, just giving you the options here, guy. But so Matt leaves, but the lawyer gives him the paperwork to become an emancipated minor. But once again, gotta have a parental signature.
Yes. Coach and Tim Riggins are helping Smash do some training. Maybe an extra push from Tim knocks Smash over.
Yeah.
Smash gets very defensive about this, very concerned. It's kind of like, what the hell are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Seems to be a pretty honest mistake.
Tim Riggins. I mean, I wouldn't describe it as a brutal hit or anything, but Smash does not like it. He actually leaves at that point, just kind of walks out of practice. Doesn't want anything to do with it anymore.
Yeah. Back at Applebee's.
Of course.
Matt and Grandma are there having dinner or lunch or whatever. And Matt is trying to talk Grandma into taking her meds, and Grandma refuses.
Yeah. She's not having any part of it.
Yeah, she doesn't want any part of it at all. Matt is visibly frustrated, so he goes outside to vent and kick some boxes.
Yeah, he's really kicking their ass back there.
Yeah.
And in the middle of his outburst, his venting, Julie,
his kickboxing, if you will.
I will not.
No, I don't blame you. I shouldn't have done
it. In the middle of all that, Julie walks out the back door of Applebee's. Apparently she works there now.
Yeah, apparently her schedule didn't get switched by Tami. Tami didn't override, and she's getting a second grade or a second class education.
Yep.
In her AP English. But yep, she is working at Applebee's. So they kind of make awkward small talk.
Yes. It's awkward. Matt starts kind of spilling the situation to her, opening up about what's going on. And then Julie says, something that makes him laugh. I didn't quite catch it, but I think it had something to do with grandma pestering the line workers for pudding or something.
She makes a very rude and in poor taste joke. Even Angie was like, wow, that was really like in poor taste. Because yeah, she's like, Matt's like, he kind of opens up about his concerns about Grandma Saracen, and Juliet is like, oh, well, does it make it better that she's right now like in the expo area yelling at our line cooks to make her some pudding? And Matt is like, oh crap, I gotta go take care of this. And yeah, and then Julie's like, just kidding.
Like, your grandma has dementia.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Read the room, Julie.
Yeah. Well, it worked for her because she
yes.
Explains that it's just a joke and they get to laughing about it. Okay. Yeah. So there's maybe a little reconnection there.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of rekindling. We'll see.
Yep.
But meanwhile, as far as flames that are still burning,
oh yes,
we've got Tim and Lila. They're at a local Western wear shop, I guess.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And Tim is trying on blazers for a dinner, for the dinner with the McCoys and the Garrity's.
Yeah, they're trying some stuff on. Tim's not very excited about it. He makes the comment, I can dress myself. And Lila says, no, Tim, you only know how to put on a plaid shirt and button one button, which is an accurate description of
not wrong.
Tim's wardrobe. Tim really doesn't want to go to the dinner, but Lila's, kind of convincing him, saying, hey, what's the guy's name? What McCoy?
I don't know. Every time that I have his name down, I just have it as Mr. McCoy because I'd never catch his first name.
All right. Pa McCoy. He might be able to help him with college stuff because he must have played college football or whatever.
Yeah, he played at Oklahoma. He went to Oklahoma.
Yep. And she also wants Tim to, spend some good time with Buddy as well. So those are the reasons why he should go. We see Tyra and Landry. They're working on Tyra's campaign at the Collette household.
Yeah. Landry has come up with a campaign slogan. A vote for Tyra is a vote for hotness. Come on, Landry.
We had another something about action, getting action. Vote for Tyra and get some action.
Yeah, it's very like, just come on, but Ma Collette is in favor of it. She says, that you're a beautiful girl and you should use that to your advantage. Once again, arguably echoing the faded 2008 presidential campaign or with Sarah Palin. But
yeah, the Collette women are actually into it. It was kind of dismissed at first, but then they're like, maybe there's something to this. I don't know if you noticed Landry's shirt, but it was a plain white shirt with just tidy whitey underwear on the chest.
Oh, I did not notice that at all.
Pretty interesting. I kind of liked it, but it was good for Landry. Wardrobe did a good job on it. So the hotness approach is
they just had to run with it.
Which they're going.
I mean, part of me is like, come on, but another part of me is like, high school.
Because what really is student body president?
Like, I think it's a winning campaign and to go for it. Yeah.
All right. So Tyra shows up to school the next day with strippers.
Yeah. I put it in my notes as some of Mindy's colleagues.
Yes, that's a nice way to put it. They're putting on a little show out in the, school courtyard or whatever that was outside. And, Tyra's doing her campaigning thing with some ladies gyrating around her.
Very popular, big crowd.
People are eating it up. Along comes old Buzzkill, VP Trucks. Here he comes.
That's all he does.
Yep. And he kind of loses his mind about the whole situation. Not happy that there's a dance show by strippers on school property.
Yeah, he gets them all out of there. He is ready to, he does suspend Tyra until Tami comes and breaks things up and kind of overrules his suspension.
Yeah. He basically calls Tyra dumb in the process.
Yeah. This guy's a real piece of work.
He does not feel good about his life and is taking it out on other people, I think. But yeah, Tami comes out, does a little damage control, breaks it up, suspends the suspension, as far as I can tell. So that's that. That's Tyra's hotness approach. It's not over yet, though. We'll get back to that in a little bit.
Meanwhile, Coach shows up at the Alamo Freeze to talk to Smash.
Mm-hmm.
Smash admits that, this is where I think I alluded to this earlier, but that he was kind of spooked by his injury.
Yeah.
And that he's a little bit worried about his limits. He's worried about giving 100%.
Yeah. And not only physically, he's not just afraid that he's physically not himself, but he is afraid that he's not actually great, like that it was just kind of like a fleeting thing, and it was because he was a Dillon Panther and he was surrounded by that, but kind of imposter syndrome. He's not actually as good as people thought he was. Mm-hmm. So Coach tells him, listen, you got to suck it up. It's part of being a man. Meet me on Saturday night at 8 p.m. at the football field. Full pads. Yep. Yep. So at the school, they're having a little school assembly, student body, town hall meeting, campaign thing.
Yeah. A little election town hall is what I described it as. It kind of makes you think, I don't know if these things actually happen outside of television. Right. I don't know if we just went to too small of a high school to experience these things. Angie and I have been we always kind of pick a show out to, like, we'll watch an episode before bed, kind of slowly go through. And so we finished The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air a couple of weeks ago, and we were trying to decide what to do next. And I suggested that we watch Eastbound and Down because I thought that Angie would like it. And it'd been a while since I watched it. Yeah. And Angie really, really liked it.
Nice.
And so we moved on from that to Vice Principals, which is also a Danny McBride and who's the guy behind it? Jody Hill and Danny McBride and David Gordon Green, and Walton Goggins is in it.
Okay.
And we've been watching through that. We just finished season 1, and I got through. I actually had watched it before, and actually we over dinner this evening, we watched the season 1 finale, and I kind of was like, oh, did we have a vice principal at Platt High School? And I had to text a high school friend and be like, did we have a vice principal? And she was like, no. And I was like, oh, weird. Yeah, that's kind of strange. I guess we're too small of a school to have a vice principal. So I wonder if we were too small of a school to have election town halls as well.
Well, I mean, I don't think we even had a student body president.
No, we just had class presidents. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we can't really relate to this.
The only reason I know that, I don't know if this is going to make the episode, or I don't know if the earlier conversation about this is going to make the episode. The only reason that I know that our senior vice president was a girl, I'm pretty sure it was, now that I think about it, Suzanne Sweat, is because our junior class president was Tyler Hoffman.
Oh my gosh.
Because as a bit,
yeah,
of course. And I think he was going to be our senior vice president until somebody was like, hey, or our senior class president, until somebody was like, hey, by the way, the senior vice, or God, I keep trying to say vice president. The senior class president is the one who like organizes the reunions and stuff. And that's when we're like, okay, we better find somebody who takes this kind of shit seriously because
no, Jordan is our class president, was our senior class
bad
president.
Call.
But he has done an excellent job of leading by delegating those responsibilities to people who care, like Aaron Vanderheiden, Aaron Meyerink.
Right.
So she's the one who organizes all our things now.
Couldn't be me. I like,
Yep. Nope.
I haven't been to a class reunion yet, and I
really
don't know if I'll go to one ever. I don't know. Maybe I'll hit the 20 year, I guess. This year will be 15. So we're probably, I can't imagine we do a 15. If we do, I'm fucking not going.
We've done 5, 10, 15. And
oh, really?
I always go because it's always like it's just all of us who, hang out every once in a while anyway. Mm-hmm. And then, like it's actually enjoyable people mostly that go. So, so Tyra,
so the election town hall.
Tyra is continuing her campaign strategy of flaunting what the Lord gave her.
Mm-hmm. Can't blame her.
And much in the way that somebody pointed out the fact that who you vote for senior class president is the one that plans your class reunions. Tyra points out that whoever student body president will apparently plan prom, and which I don't think that's a thing, but maybe in Dillon High it is. But if they vote for Ginny, nobody's getting laid because Ginny wants to have prom in the gym.
Yeah. Tyra is, I mean, just acting, airheaded, and she's making those kinds of wild campaign promises. She's running a real populist campaign.
Yeah. She gets very good response to it as
people, the students of Dillon High are loving it. It's a classic, like, I feel like that's a trope of like TV, like high school TV shows where like somebody decides to run for class president and they decide to make like wild campaign promises, and like the lesson at the end of the episode is like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. You can't do that or whatever. That probably happened on like Saved by the Bell.
Right.
Yeah.
I specifically remember in 3rd grade when we had like a class election with Mrs. Reiser's class, that there were promises made to have Kool-Aid in the water fountains.
Water fountains, yeah.
Yep, classic grade school campaign promise. But then that got one-upped by having soda in the water fountains. So, yeah. But no, Tyra's basically promising that everybody's going to get laid if she is president. So big promises.
Which, frankly, I mean, she's with Landry, so I mean,
anything's possible.
It's
we get some football here. Panthers are whipping butt. Riggins gets a touchdown, and then we're done with the football game. That's it.
Yeah, it's a real cakewalk. I did write down, I guess the 2-game rumor from last week is irrelevant.
What was that again?
That remember, like everybody was worried that coach wouldn't be able to because he planned his whole last year's season around Smash Williams, and now Smash is gone.
Yes,
and Buddy said, "Don't worry about that 2-game rumor."
Right.
Coach, doesn't need to be worried about the 2-game rumor.
2 blowouts.
Yeah, he's kicking butt.
Yeah, so we get about literally 20 seconds of football here, and then we immediately cut back to Applebee's. Like, let's keep this show on track. Let's get back to Applebee's.
I will say this was the first season that was the first DirecTV exclusive season for the original run. So I wonder if part of that move to DirecTV was maybe they got a little bit heavier funding from Applebee's.
Yeah, it must be because
Applebee's cut a check. They wanted to save Friday Night Lights.
I think so. All right, so at Applebee's,
it's the after party, game after party. Everybody, the whole town is there.
Yes, of course. And Tami feels as if everyone there, the whole town, hates her.
Yeah, they're all either not making eye contact or giving her the stink eye.
Yes. Some guy comes up to coach and asks when JD McCoy is going to get to play, which is, kind of a pretty typical coach interaction. But Tami starts freaking out because he didn't even acknowledge her.
Yeah.
So she thinks he's giving her the cold shoulder.
Also, like, this whole obsession with JD McCoy is like, it's a moot point. Like, the guy's a freshman.
Yeah.
Like, he has got plenty of years ahead of him. He will do fine. But, like,
and the Panthers are like kicking ass too.
Yeah. Let's like coach is like, Matt Saracen had a good game tonight. Like, I don't know why you're asking me when JD McCoy is gonna start.
Yeah. Because, I mean, they're blowing everybody out. I think we can have some faith in Matt Saracen right now. So Tami's freaking out about people looking at her or not looking at her. And she basically like kind of drags coach's opinion about the Jumbotron situation out of him. And he does admit carefully and tentatively that it could be construed by some as a questionable decision. Tami doesn't like to hear that. And coach points out that, listen, Buddy and the boosters are going to get what they want. And that's just kind of the way it is. You got to realize that.
Yeah. Not saying that you're wrong, but
yes,
this is just kind of how things go. I do want to make a point just because we just talked about how much Applebee's is featured in this episode. I thought it was odd. There's a line in there. I don't know if you noted it. I did write it down where coach is kind of having a hard time navigating the menu. Did you catch that?
No, I did not.
Yeah. He's like, maybe this is, now that I think about it, maybe it was a positive sign, but the coach is like, they changed the menu. I can't. Like, he's like, so maybe it was them trying to say like, hey, we've got all new menu items. Absolutely.
No, I do remember.
You're not even going to be able to find your way around the menu.
I do remember coach saying that. I think he was saying it just to like try and dodge the conversation, try and
that makes sense.
Avoid the topic of the Jumbotron. I wonder if that, you know what? That's probably when they took out the sizzling apple pie.
Right.
You know, the new menu. Like, I can't even find the freaking sizzling apple pie on here. I'm gonna have to get on Facebook and write an angry message. Matt and Grandma, they're talking. Grandma is pretty insistent that there should be a new episode of Cagney and Lacey on TV.
Yeah, she is unappreciative. I wrote, Grandma's appreciative of Matt, but unappreciative of the cancellation of Cagney and Lacey.
But yes, she begins to talk about how much Matt loves football, what a great game he had. He loves football, and then gets into how sweet he was as a baby. And then she expresses how much she appreciates him taking care of everything and taking care of her.
Nice warm and fuzzy moment.
Yeah, like she's really laying it on thick, but it's like honest though.
Yes,
like it's genuine.
Absolutely.
But you can see that now Matt is faced with an even deeper dilemma, with the home, sending her to a home or, whatever situation. So it's not making things any easier.
Yeah. So Matt goes, it's hard to tell what time of night it is.
I've got lots of timeline issues here for the rest of the episode, but yes.
But yeah, Matt, we know that it's dark out. And Matt goes and knocks on Landry's window, which is a pretty bold move because knowing that Landry's with Tyra, he could be interrupting something depending on what time of night it is.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
But he says, listen, Landry, I need to borrow your car.
Mm-hmm.
Landry kind of grills him for a second, but Matt makes it pretty clear that like, hey, listen, this is something serious.
Yeah. He doesn't want to talk about it. And he says, here's one of my timeline questions. We don't have to get into it too much because I think we've pretty much established that occasionally the timeline just does not make sense in Friday Night Lights.
Yeah.
But presumably this is Friday night and it's late.
Yes, after the game.
Yep. And he says, because when Landry asks what he's going to do with the car, he says, listen, how about I just take the car, I'll have it back by morning and you won't even know it's gone. But then when we see him driving, like, it's clearly daytime.
It's morning, yeah.
So that didn't work.
Yeah, so clearly he drove all night.
Yeah, apparently. So yes, he pulls up. Matt is driving. He pulls up to a house, knocks on the door, and oh boy, it's Matt's mom.
Yes, we find out that the woman who answers is Matt's mom. He asks her to sign the emancipated minor papers. It kind of explains the situation about how he's taking care of grandma and Pa Saracen is still in Iraq until things get right.
Yeah.
And he's pretty standoffish with his mom. It's kind of implied that they do not have a very good relationship.
Yeah. No, he's not interested in any small talk. He just wants her to just sign the paper and be done with it. He's pretty cold throughout the whole thing, but she does sign. Mm-hmm. So, okay, we're going to presume here that it's Monday sometime. We'll get back to that in a minute because Tyra, they're in school. Tyra stops by Tami's office. She's pretty excited and feeling pretty victorious.
She's gloating.
Yeah.
She's gloating.
Yes. And I think genuinely is expecting Tami to share in her victorious feelings.
Yeah. I think she's expecting Tami to be proud of her, but Tami is pretty unimpressed.
Yeah. Not impressed and not happy. Doesn't really want much to do with the whole thing. And oh my gosh. In true Movie Dude 1 fashion, I have in my notes, she lays it on the line to Tyra. I literally had that in my notes. But yeah, she does. She lays it on the line with Tyra and basically threatens that she better start earning back some self-respect and some of that faith and trust that Tami had in her, or she will be on her own in her endeavors to get to college. The next scene, now it's Saturday night because we know that Smash was supposed to meet Coach at.
Yeah. So what the hell's going? Why was
we're flip-flopping back and forth?
Yeah,
where you're not supposed to think about it.
Some what's his name? Christopher Nolan, or messing with the perception of time.
Yes. So apparently it's Saturday. Maybe Coach meant meet me in a week and a half, Saturday at 8 p.m. So, but Smash is at the field and, he's full pads. And the whole Panther football team shows up. It's going to go live.
Also in full pads, they're going to run some scrimmages. And in the midst of all of this, Smash takes a pretty big hit.
Yeah. Seemed a little excessive for what they were doing, but yeah, gets hit hard. Yeah. And he's laying in the end zone and everyone's kind of afraid that he's gotten hurt again. And he lays there for a while and then he stands up and triumphantly declares, "That's 6. I'm back, baby."
Yeah, and Smash is back.
Smash has got his groove back. So it's finally time for dinner with the McCoys for Lila and Tim.
I don't know if you remember this, Josh. Very early on in season 1, I told you, and I'm gonna have to look back at. Oh no, now I can't. I'll explain why off the air in a second what I'm talking about. But I explained in season 1, like one of the first 10 episodes, probably in the first 5 episodes. I told you there was a quote from Tim Riggins that is offensive, but that I remembered from the show. And I did not realize that it came this late in the show. Now you realize the one time.
Yeah.
We won't say it on the air, but Tim says something now hasn't aged well, we'll say.
Yep. Yeah. You can't say that word anymore, Tim.
No.
They're heading into the fancy dinner, and Tim knows that JD McCoy's dad went to Oklahoma and played football. And he says that Lila doesn't know how he knew that. And he says, well, I Googled it. Lila's impressed that he knows how to use Google. Tim says, well, yes, I'm not a, and then we don't say that word anymore.
Yes.
Yeah. It was a pretty funny exchange up until Tim had to drop that word.
Yes.
But yeah.
2008 was a different time.
2000. I mean, yeah, that was 12 years ago. That's a long time.
Lots happened since then.
Buddy pulls Tim aside while they kind of, exchange pleasantries with the McCoy family and Buddy. And
says,
then
I don't like you with my daughter.
Yeah.
He
lays it on the line, I'd say. And so not only does he not like him with Lila, but that his relationship with Joe, it's Joe. I have it in my notes. Joe McCoy. Pa McCoy, is extremely important, and Tim better not jeopardize that or he will hurt Tim.
Yeah, I got a little bit kind of weirded out by this whole thing. I did write down because I was running out of this is literally at the bottom of this page, and I didn't want to do a double pager. But I just wrote down his relationship with Mr. McCoy is important.
I think it's just because he's a booster. Money.
Right. That's what it made me wonder if there was some sort of off-screen implied some reason that Joe McCoy has got Buddy's balls in a vice.
Yeah, or what, but Buddy's in deep with with the stud of suds.
But yeah, he seems very concerned with impressing JD or Joe McCoy.
Yeah, I just liked that Buddy physically threatened Tim Riggins.
Yeah.
Okay, man. At the dinner, Tim's really freezing up in conversation.
He is struggling.
He literally only says things like and but comes time to order. It kind of bails him out a little bit. It's time to order. And Buddy orders the porterhouse steak. It's not on the menu anymore, but he tells the waiter just to have the chef cut him off one. Just go cut me one.
So surprised by what we know with Buddy that he didn't get the New York strip.
I know. Well, Buddy's got very specific tastes, I think.
Yeah,
it needed to be a porterhouse, whether they had it or not. Tim once again freezes up when it's his turn to order. And, you see him kind of glancing at the complicated menu of things he's not used to. And he presumably just picks something at random and goes with the squab.
He settles on the squab.
And you know what? Let's go ahead and make that rare. Tim says.
Well, this is he's like, I think I'll take the squab. And Joe McCoy's wife is like, are you sure? And it's interesting because I didn't know what squab was.
Yeah.
I'll admit it's been several years, probably 12 and a half years since I've watched this episode.
I might have just known it from watching this, but yes.
And Mrs. McCoy says, are you sure? And I think it's great. I think it's a very clever piece of writing because I think probably most people who are watching this episode do not know what squab is. I would have to imagine. And so I think it gives an impression of if this is something really expensive to impress them. And she's like, because she almost gives the way she says, are you sure, suggests you don't have to do this, son. But
Tim doubles down.
Yeah, he's very confident, and he decides to take it rare.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have rare squab, and Lila is horrified as this is happening.
Yeah,
that's literally the look on her face, horror, oh my gosh, what is happening? We cut to Tim dropping Lila off, and Lila is just chewing out Tim for blowing it at dinner. Not impressed. She's pretty pissed.
Didn't ask about Oklahoma. You could barely even respond to any questions they asked you. You ordered rare pigeon.
Yep. She said it. She was like, they were asking you questions and you couldn't even respond. That was really rude, which I thought was weird. Like, it obviously wasn't rude. He was just struggling. It's not like he was being a jerk. He was just struggling. But Tim says, Lila, maybe I'm just too simple of a guy. Maybe I'm just not classy enough for you. And then kind of says something along the lines of like, maybe we should just go our separate ways or whatever. And Lila agrees.
Maybe we should. Yep.
And so they do-ish.
Yeah, they essentially break up. Presumably later that night, Buddy shows up at the Taylor household to talk with Tami. Kind of pulls up in the driveway, right? She's like in the garage.
Yeah.
And she or Buddy lets her know that there was a school board meeting.
Some sort of meeting.
Yeah, they decided to freeze the booster funds, and they decided they're gonna decide what to do with them at a later date, I guess.
Yeah.
Tami is pretty upset. Coach kind of comes in at the tail end of this exchange.
Yeah.
But quickly, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. He's got a call. But yeah, Buddy tells her that they've scheduled a public meeting, basically.
Yeah. Yep.
And that she's invited to that one. It sounds like basically everyone else besides her was invited to the meeting to decide this. And then, now they're going to have a Parks and Rec, Leslie Knope style public meeting to discuss the Jumbotron, to see what the people want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But Coach gets a call and it's Mitch.
Yes. I right away, as I was taking notes as I was obviously watching the episode, and I just put Mitch in quotations. I was like, oh, what's going to happen here? I thought it was going to be something bad, but good news is that he shows up at the Smash household.
Yeah.
And announces that Smash has been accepted as a walk-on at Texas A&M, a real school.
Yeah.
A non-fictional university.
Yep. He's got a walk-on tryout. 2 weeks. They got work to do. Yeah. Tim heads home from Lila's house. Tyra is there sitting on his couch. She's waiting for Mindy, who is in the back room with Billy.
Yeah, didn't she say that they stopped by to grab something, and then I guess that Mindy just, or one of them couldn't
restrain themselves. Couldn't wait. So she was waiting for Billy and Mindy to get done back there. So Tim walks in, takes off his pants down to his underwear, grabs a couple beers out of the fridge, sits down next to Tyra. Yeah.
Tyra and Tim kind of connect on not feeling good enough.
Yes.
Both feeling that they are doomed to the life of their siblings.
Yep. No, that's a good connection. I hadn't even really thought about the fact that Tyra would also be resonating with that. But yeah, they're kind of laughing about Tim's kind of making fun of himself, and they're laughing about the squab situation and being uncultured and all that. Big rig beer count. That's one.
Yep. I marked it down.
And as they're kind of laughing about all that, who else walks into the Riggins house but Lila?
Yep.
She asks where his pants are.
Yeah, this scene gave me brief anxiety.
Right.
Because it's one of those. I mean, it's like a Frasier-esque situation where it's just this could all be explained away. I just hope that she listens. I was just very really, this is really innocent. But luckily, she does ask where his pants are. I mean, obviously Tyra's fully clothed, but still, sitcom people are not reasonable people.
Right.
But she asks where Tim's pants are, and it seems like maybe she's a little bit worried until it becomes obvious that Tyra is there for Mindy, who comes out pretty.
I wrote sexed. She's looking very sexed.
That's a good word for it.
Yeah. No, I was kind of confused that it all of a sudden was just okay, but I guess that makes sense. Like if that was like proof that Tyra was there.
Right. And once again, Tyra's fully clothed, and why would Tim be sitting there with a beer in his hand with his pants off? Tyra's fully clothed. Like it wouldn't make sense for that. So no, I was glad that we didn't get a more awkward situation than we needed.
Yeah. So it appears that things are on the mend between the two of them. Well, cashing in more of that Applebee's money. Matt's driving past Applebee's.
I do have to note this. We did get a music cue as the scene was happening, and I don't know if I Shazammed it. It was the
Riggins house scene, or
no? While Matt is driving
the Applebee's
back.
scene.
So Matt is driving back. So I know we've talked about this. I think we had a previous song that had this view. The song has 151 Shazams. Only 151 people have ever Shazammed the song.
I love
that. Is very insignificant. But I do want to note this before we talk about what happens, while we talk about what happens, because Matt is driving back home, and as he is pulling back into Dillon, by the way, it's the next night. He does not have Landry's car back by morning.
Right.
He looks over and sees Applebee's and decides to swing by Applebee's to see Julie. While all this is going on, there is a song playing, and Josh, I don't think this is any coincidence. Okay. Knowing what we know.
Uh-huh.
The song is by a Maggie Walters, and the title of the song is "Be Careful, Love," which I think is a warning to Matt.
Big time.
To be careful, but Matt does not heed the song's advice.
No, he pulls over. Maggie Walters be damned. And he offers Julie a ride home from work. Why didn't Julie? Oh yeah, because that's the whole reason Julie is working, is because she
We'll know in a second why she doesn't have a car, because she's about to get one and she's very excited about it.
Yes. But things are definitely rekindling. Matt tells her about going to see his mom and becoming an emancipated minor. And Julie's like, oh, emancipated minor. It's kind of hot. Does that mean you get to vote and drink and smoke and rent cars? Matt says, no, it means I get to take care of old people. Julie freaks out in the passenger seat. Stop. Yeah. I would be pissed if someone did that to me while I was driving, just to stop and look at the car that she is going to buy.
Toyota Celica.
Yeah, Matt's really ragging on her, making fun of the fact that it's a Celica. And I actually, when Matt was, I didn't mention this earlier, I had it in my notes, but I forgot to mention it. When Matt was going to borrow Landry's car, I was very confused, because I was like, didn't Matt buy that Dodge Dart with that girl that he was dating before? I was like, why doesn't he just take his Dodge Dart? And then Julie fills us in here that she teases that, oh, you don't like the Celica, maybe I should be like you and buy a Dodge Dart and let the engine fall out. So mystery solved.
That happened on screen, didn't it?
It did.
I thought that Matt's car died on screen, because I think it was after he broke up with that girl.
Oh yeah.
Because it was kind of a like, she can't help him anymore thing, or something. But I may be mistaken. We'd have
that would make sense. Life was falling apart.
Put it in the Twitter comments if you know what happened to Matt's Dodge Dart.
Yeah, I thought maybe that was one of the lost storylines of season 2.
I think that one was actually
they tied that
actually happen.
All right, so yeah, that's how we end the episode, with Matt and Julie kind of hitting things off again. So
talking about a Toyota Celica that Julie eventually plans to buy.
Brings people together. All right, so that's the end. We will be right back with the awards segment of our show. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to kick off the awards section of our show. We are going to start, as we always do, with the Coach Taylor Inspo rating. Anthony, how inspiring was Coach this week?
You know, this is a real interesting episode for Coach because we do see those great Coach moments, the meet me on the field Saturday night, full pads. You know, and he's really pushing. He's making those calls to the universities. He's doing all this stuff, but at the same time, we also get coward Coach.
Yes. Yeah, Coach has two storylines going here, and they're headed in very opposite directions.
Yeah, I have a hard time giving him anything but a 5 just because, he builds goodwill with Smash, but he loses a lot of goodwill with Tami. So I think the best I can give him is a middle of the road 5.
Yeah, I agree, because I feel like the coward Coach is, in my mind, is the more prominent storyline. When I think of this, I mean, it's called what? Tami Knows Best. So I feel like that's like the main storyline that's happening. And the Smash one is secondary. So I give the coward Coach a little more weight. So I would even maybe go a little bit lower, because I also think it is inspiring, the Smash one, but it's not like the most inspiring thing that Coach has ever done. So it's not like we're working with a 10 and a 0.
Right. That's true.
So I feel like, I'd probably give it a 4, just a little bit.
I'm willing to go
less
there.
Inspiring. So, all right, Coach. Not your best week. It was close to a wash, but just a little bit on the negative side. Julie Taylor hate-o-meter. We get a little bit more Julie. I feel like she's been a little bit missing. Lately. A couple different things going on with her.
I'm going to say it's definitely in the positives because of the rude joke that she makes. About grandma yelling at the line cooks, because she knew that it would get a rise out of Matt, and she only did it to be a jerk. So, aside from that, we don't see a lot of Julie.
No, she's helping Tyra a little bit. That's about it. Yeah.
I think if I have to go from an objective perspective,
yes,
and not knowing what I do know,
right,
comes from Julie. I'm going to say like a 2.
Yeah, I was going to say that same thing, because you see Matt and Julie getting back together, and in my mind, knowing what I know, I'm like, no, this is bad. But if you're watching this for the first time, you're probably seeing it as good.
Yeah, you're probably loving it. Yeah. I'm sure the first time I watched this, I was like, yes, Matt and Julie back together. Yes. We're liking it.
But yeah, the two main knocks were the bad joke, and then also freaking out in the passenger seat yelling stop, which I feel like should only happen if you are about to drive directly into another vehicle. It's the only time when you should be screaming stop in the passenger seat. So, yep, 2 sounds good to me. These aren't egregiously bad, negative things, but still not good. So, Julie, we're giving you a 2 this week on the hate-o-meter. Big Rig Beer Tally, we got 1. The Alamo Freeze presents the Matt Saracen Shucks Goofus Maloofus moment of the week. We do get quite a bit of Matt here.
Yeah, I think my nomination is going to be him going out back at Applebee's and kicking the boxes.
Just going off on some cardboard and then getting caught by his ex-girlfriend. That's pretty Goofus Maloofus.
Yeah.
Buddy Garrity sleazeball move of the week. Man, Buddy
my nomination.
He was a real head.
Yeah. He had a lot of really scummy moments, from telling Lila, asking her if she's using production with Tim,
yes,
to him pulling Tim aside and basically putting him on blast. But my choice has got to be a moment that you didn't even catch, where Mayor Odell is tearing into Tami, and he is just standing by and loving it.
Yeah, no, this is when I was with my kids were in the bath and I was taking notes on the same screen that I was watching with, and in my mind Buddy was like cowering in the background, like fiddling with stuff on the shelf, but
no.
apparently he was loving it.
Can we pull it up? Can I get it going on Hulu?
Sure.
Do we have the? Let me just get it going there. We just watched the clip, and Josh has now seen the look on Buddy's face as Mayor Riddell is tearing Tami a new one, and
it's as good as advertised,
yeah,
folks.
Buddy is loving it.
Yes. Yeah. That's definitely a great Buddy Garrity sleazeball move of the week. Notable music cues. We had, what was that?
Maggie Walters.
Be
Careful, love.
Yes. Little foreshadowing there. Outdated pop culture reference of the week / canceled corner. Gonna have to go with Tim's usage of the R word.
Absolutely.
We're gonna go ahead and cancel that. Sorry, Tim. Not sorry, Tim.
No.
Quote of the episode. Do you have anything noted?
The only quote that I wrote down was the cancel corner.
Yeah, we're not giving that quote of the episode.
No.
Let's see. I had Tim says to Lila, I can dress myself. No, Tim, you only know how to put on a plaid shirt and button one button. I have that's 6. I'm back, baby. Julie saying emancipated minor. That's kind of hot. Does that mean you get to vote and drink and smoke and rent cars? No, it means I get to take care of old people. From Matt. That's what I had written down. No standouts, but
yeah, nothing that that stands out for me either.
All right. I probably laughed the most at Julie and Matt's line. I wouldn't even call it a laugh. I chuckled at that. So we'll go with that. The emancipated minor line. Mm-hmm. Who's our MVP of the episode? This is a tough one.
Tami Taylor.
Really? You think so? I think she's kind of getting her ass kicked.
Yeah, she is. You're right. Boy, I don't know.
It's like Tyra gets elected student body president, but she kind of, sank to a pretty low spot to get there.
Yeah. And like same with like Matt has some strengths and weaknesses. Like everybody's
really, I got it. Since nobody else is really sticking out, I think we gotta go with Smash.
I think that's a safe.
As far as like he has the most success in the episode. He's not like the most valuable player of the episode as far as entertainment goes, but he's probably winning the episode.
Yeah, I think that's a good choice.
Okay. Our episode rating then is what we're left with.
I loved this episode.
It's very good.
A lot. Enjoyed watching it, was furiously taking notes throughout it. I got to give this a strong 8.
That's right where I wanted to be as well. Loved it. Yep. Excellent episode. Makes me excited to watch more. I think it is a good idea for us to only be doing one a week at this point.
Agreed.
But at the same time, I could have gone ahead and watched another one.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm definitely chomping at the bit to watch season 3, episode 3. So we'll see everyone next week with that episode.
Yes. Before we go, Anthony, as we're trying to do here with season 3, what's our main lesson? What's our takeaway from this episode? How about this? Don't cross Buddy in the boosters.
I like don't cross Buddy in the boosters. I was trying to think of something for Tyra with the populist campaign and then gloating after winning. But I like don't cross Buddy and the Boosters. I think that is probably the bigger takeaway from the episode.
I mean, if you're talking Dillon, Texas, that's probably one of the main things you have to remember. Like when you move to town, they're like, listen, buddy, be careful.
But
the
also,
boosters don't cross.
I think you could argue that sex sells is a lesson to take from this episode.
Yep. No, those are both good. Great lessons to be learned. Yeah. Season 3, living up to the hype so far. Loving it. Great episode. Shout out to our listeners in the West Indies.
Yes, obviously. Shout out to the listeners in the West Indies.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Check us out on Twitter. Check us out. Give us a rating on iTunes. All those things that supposedly help. I hear other podcasts say that, so we'll say that too.
Yeah, allegedly.
Yep. But yeah, great to have you with us. We will catch you next week for episode 3.
Let's touch God this time, boys. Let's touch God.